completely forgot to ask you if there is a specific goal for this conversation in terms of what you would like to get out of this. But for me, the goal is number one. It's like you live in Arizona. What was it? Camel Valley or Camelback Valley?
Paradise
Sorry.
Valley. Yep.
Paradise Valley. Why did I remember camel? I don't.
Because it's near the base of Camelback. So
Yes.
that's why.
Thank you.
You were there. You were right there.
Yeah, no, I was. No. What's the name of the baseball team?
The Arizona Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks. Right. Actually, once were at the house of the owner.
Really?
Yes. And I was. Long story short, blah blah blah. It was a fundraiser for something, and I was walking in, and I was like, as you walk, you see on the right there is like a beautiful Chagall, and I was like, I was walking, taking a step back, looking at that for like very long seconds, and immediately I could feel the security guys looking at me, looking at that, and I was like, carried on. Now, needless to say that no one there would go and rob the guy, God forbid, right?
Hopefully not.
No. Arizona has a lot of deserts, and as a result, I'm sure that you don't want to disappear to the desert.
That's true.
Yeah. But going back to the original question, my goal for this conversation is like, how do you keep all the golf courses in Arizona?
I know. You would think with the water shortage here and, kind of the push to decrease
the 140
natural
degrees outside.
Oh, it makes you feel alive. It's so delicious. I mean, people listen, I was born and raised here. You just accept it. It's part of who you are. It's deeply ingrained. When people hear 124, that's not hot to us. That's just what we live in. You acclimate, right? Just like in LA. It's beautiful, but 70 is like winter. And so for me, I'd always have a jacket. I'd always have an umbrella. It would take me a while to acclimate, but we survive. We have pools, we get up really early in the morning. It's ingrained in us. I get up at 4 every morning.
Jesus.
We have the most amazing sunrises, unrivaled sunsets. We have great weather all year round. It's the cost of living here. I don't want to promote it too much. We're already of overpopulated, but
no, tell me more about
fantastic.
the taxation situation over there as a person who lives in Los Angeles. Yeah, no, please tell me about state tax and real estate tax and the education quality and all that stuff. Please go ahead.
Well, and I'd like to say that we're A+++ in all those categories. I mean, it's part of the reason my whole family is still here, and none of us have picked up to move to Florida or anywhere else for that matter. So it's just great weather, great restaurants. It's the community here. It's everything. You could be in snow in an hour and a half in Flagstaff, skiing the slopes in Flagstaff, right? You can be in Las Vegas in 4 hours if you wanted to go gamble for a little bit and come back. San Diego, 6 hour road trip.
I'll skip on Vegas. We just came back from ITC, which was
I was
lovely,
there too.
which was great. And we're going to ask about that in a second. I love Vegas for going to the conference and back, not too much, because at the end of the, we think about Vegas. So there is Vegas, the city, which is growing tremendously. They are doing they are doing a great job in terms of the city itself. Most of us who cringe about Vegas, it's basically because we go to this conference and we are just in the conference, not the hotel. We are in that conference, and we don't even, for the next 4 days, we don't even leave the expo / 5 different restaurants and bars that they have in that specific restaurant. There was a point I was invited to another dinner outside of the Mandalay Bay, and I had to text the guy. It's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be late because the line to get a taxi or to get an Uber, it was impossible to get an Uber, but the line for the taxis was at least an hour long. And now, when I was younger and had better back and knees, I would just walk or didn't feel like. But nowadays, it's I'm so sorry. Thank you very much for the invitation. And funny enough, the folks that I send them, they arrived. And that made me even more ashamed of me not showing.
I wouldn't be ashamed. I did the same thing. I made sure that everybody knew I'm not leaving the resort. I'm not even going to attempt to get in the line for a vehicle or walk anywhere. Same, bad knees, bad back, former athlete. I'm not doing any of it. There's 4 restaurants you can choose from. They're all here in the Mandalay Bay. So, and on the border is right here if we want to go have a quick cocktail or whatever else. What I did find interesting this year, more than any other years that I've been there, is there are larger companies that have taken the initiative to actually book their own suites and penthouses and separate, themselves from the herd, and they cater. You can go up and have dinner with them. You don't have to leave the property. You're having these nice private meetings, on the 68th floor. It's a whole thing. So that's really where it gets interesting.
So
Because
there
then
is
you're
a
separated from
Mhm.
all the chaos.
Yes, and you have that tinge of like, I'm special. I have a suite.
Yes. That, and I can tell people that I have now seen, the views of all views in Vegas at this ITC conference. It's amazing.
So we've seen that as it propagated or increased in traction of the private suite or the private boardrooms since the beginning of ITC. The suite started a little bit at the beginning, then you had like the extension at the 4th season in terms of just, there was a year, I think it was 2 years ago, that basically there was a point that my office was at the lobby of the 4th season. So it's easy, there is fresh air, and you don't need to figure out how to get to the cabanas. And
That's right.
yes, I'm looking at you, Robert. It's like that to jump over the fence to reach your cabana in the pool of the Mandalay Bay was painful. I don't mind shaming you because I know that you're in Santa Monica and I can always buy you a beer. Yeah, no, but that's ITC. So, let's talk about ITC, and then we actually need to talk about ServiceUp. Why did I say service now? It's like, oh, yeah.
There is a service now, not the
Yes.
same companies,
No,
but
no.
it does
And
happen. So give yourself some grace.
One of my neighbors is an executive there, and there is a big difference in terms of the size and where you are.
Yeah.
You're in a very great trajectory. They're a public company. That's a small, big difference. Okay, let's talk about ITC. How ITC was for you, besides running up all the suites?
I had such an amazing time this year. And I think what was different than any other year is the partnerships that we've established and curated over the last 12 months from the prior year have developed to, friendships, camaraderie, and to be able to go to a conference of 12,000 people and still run into people that I think is wild. So, we ran into partnerships, people we haven't seen in a year, you get caught up, but I think that feeling of, we've arrived. We know people now. People know us. We have friendships. It's easy to get, easier, I will say, to get a meeting or to meet so-and-so from so-and-so because you establish this base of connections. So this year, more than any, was so even more, tech driven. It was so exciting to see all the things that are happening, which just again opens these conversations to just further it along because of your pre-established relationships. What are you guys doing this year? Oh, we built even more AI. Tell me about it. And then 15 people come over and it's this cohort that's all discussing the same thing they've all been running towards. It's just made such a difference. Like, it's been 3 years now and every year just gets better for me.
Stephanie, you are such a nice person because, when people nowadays, I'm a little bit of a sarcastic individual. And when people throw AI at me, I try to take a deep breath in and go and roll my eyes, but then I try to not to roll my eyes and ask more questions about the AI without hinting that are you just saying AI because everyone is AI? What is the AI about you? Which is critical because I'm fine if you'll go and say, listen, we are just a wrapper and we know how to optimize between ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude, whatever. And this is how we optimize our operations. And at the end of the day, this is the result that we're having. But,
Right.
we have our data, we have models, not models there. And then it needs to be agentic and ask why. And sometimes they know how to answer, sometimes they don't. And it's like, let's move to quantum computing. But yes, AI, great, wonderful. It's how we can process data quickly, faster, bigger, and it's not the big data that we used to know earlier. But before we continue talking about AI, ITC, and all that stuff, I think that we are like already 10 minutes in. How about we'll do a quick introduction? You are the Chief Insurance Officer for ServiceUp, not ServiceNow, ServiceUp. What is ServiceUp, and what's your role?
So ServiceUp, we are an all-in-one repair platform for anything. I like to say anything on wheels, but essentially, we're talking class 1 through 3, medium duty, heavy duty. We've recently ventured into RVs, which has been really exciting for us. But we are an all-inclusive repair platform. On the insurance side, we are similar to a DoorDash model. We handle all the logistics, all the communications. We're picking up vehicles. We're taking them to our partner shops to repair collision, comprehensive, anything in that nature, property damage for third-party claimants. All the while, it's tracking like a pizza or a Domino's tracker. It's telling the customer, hey, we've gotten your car is at the shop. Hey, your car has been torn down. Here's your estimated completion date. It should be done by Friday. Where would you like us to drop it off? Doesn't matter if it's, Friday afternoon at work, I need my car back. Maybe it's a Saturday. Hey, my kids have a soccer game. I need my van, whatever it may be. So we're really there to cater to the consumer base, make sure that they are having their hand held throughout the process. We're taking the baton, making it easier for them, all the while catering to our partnerships, our carriers, our MGAs, brokerages, whoever it may be. TPA is another area that we cover. We want to lower the cycle times. We want to, stop loss some of that leakage that they have for having to pay extra rental days. We keep our costs low. We're incredibly competitive. We're anywhere between, 10 to 15% less than what you'll see on a wall rate if you were to walk into a shop and repair. We're utilizing our data sets to really show them how to better underwrite their products across the US as far as saturated areas. Again, LKQ versus OEM, all the things in between. So we're catering to our partnerships. We're lowering costs. We want them to write more business. We want them to have more customer acquisition. We have a claimant that we do a great job for. Maybe they say, hey, I really want this insurance. Look at how easy my claim repair was, right? We also focus on retention. If they're servicing their customer base, they're going to stick with that carrier because it was so easy. And people forget it is such a traumatic experience to have an accident. There's so much after it. You're scared. You don't know what to do. Your car is damaged. It might be your livelihood. Maybe you drive DoorDash in the afternoon. Maybe you have 15 kids you got to take to a game. You need your vehicle back. We understand that. So we're here to help. We're here to expedite. Our relationships with body shops allow us to prioritize. So you're not waiting, 2 weeks, 4 weeks to get into a body shop. No, we're getting you in with 1 to 2 days of dispatch. We want your vehicles to be repaired. On the flip side, we also handle and cater to fleets. So we are essentially similar to a fleet management company. Same thing, larger rental car companies, HVAC companies, medium to heavy duty vehicles. We're discussing all these things with the lot managers, the directors that need those vehicles back en route so that we can avoid utilization drag. So preventative maintenance across the board, mobile services we offer, collision, property damage, same kind of chemical makeup. We handle the logistics. We're picking it up from your lot. We're taking it over to our shop. We're returning it as quickly as possible. Something under warranty, not an issue. We partner with some dealers. We can get that resolved back to your lot. The whole premise there is to, again, decrease cycle time, put money back in your pocket, avoid leakage, all the things. So we really do cater to a vast, wide variety. And we are, we specialize in repair. All of our teams are internal. You've got appraisers that have anywhere between 15 to 25 years of experience that are writing to your specs. You have a whole logistics team at your disposal that domiciles in all the markets across the US that we operate in, which we're at 52 markets at this point in time, including Hawaii, which is, a pretty big deal for us because the island is small, but we have our partnered shops and we're really creating community. By utilizing independent partnered shops, we are enabling some of these small business owners to expand and franchise their own family body shops they've had for 20 years and compete with the big boys, the MSOs, the Caliber collisions, the Gerber collisions. We want them to have an opportunity to drive them volume, to keep costs low for everybody, and give them the chance to expand and grow with us.
Okay.
That was a lot.
It was a lot. Many questions. Let's try to break it down and build it back up. 52 markets, there are 50 states, so we are adding the other territories, or are you in other countries as well?
We think of 52 markets as major metropolitan areas. So for example, while we are in California, it's LA, San Francisco, San Diego. Like
so
that
those
would
are
be
the
considered.
markets. Okay.
Yes.
Really? Okay. So metro, because here it's like 12 million people, that will be a market. Perfect. Okay, great. Before we touch the fleet and all kinds of beautiful and interesting politics, because yes, we give the little guy the opportunity to compete, I'm thinking about, as a former carrier, we had our network of body shops that we used to work with. We kind of trust them. We'll have an adjuster already sitting there. There will be, I don't know, some sort of relationship that been with 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 that we trust or don't trust or whatever that may be. They help us with the leakage, unofficially or officially. So how does it work? Because in the world of the TPAs, I've noticed there is a lot of kind of a conflict of interest. How did you guys solve it, or how do you address that kind? Yeah, as you can see, we already started with the most complicated question.
No, it makes perfect sense. And look, it may sound complicated, but these are questions we get all the time, especially when we are announcing ourselves to somebody new and trying to have that generalized conversation. DRP networks have been around for a very long time. That's not a new idea. That's not something that's uncommon within the insurance carrier space. It does make it a lot easier for them. They're writing on their specs. Maybe they've grown this relationship over years and years and years. And like you said, maybe they have an adjuster on site. What that network of shops is missing is prioritization. What they're missing is the tech piece that enables us, the appraiser and the adjuster, complete visibility and communication digitally. So everything lives in the portal. We're talking photos, estimates, requests, questions, supplements, disputes, diminished values, anything in between. It all lives in the portal on a text-like process. So you're not having to field phone calls. You're not having to try to get a hold of the one guy who's working in the shop I got 3 cars, I'm busy, I can't get back to you. It's all automated. It's all in the portal itself. The other variation that I think people forget a lot is you may have a network of shops. It's wonderful for you. You've curated it, perfect. They are all going to vary on price. It's an average cost. One shop may cost $72 an hour for labor rates. One might cost $78. Feels okay because it's in the scope and range. We preset labor rates up front. There is no variation. You know exactly what you're paying for. So when you're analyzing your severity at the end of the month and your average cost of repair, it shouldn't deviate. If you know you're submitting X amount of claims, you're going to get the same labor rate in that market every single time from our network of shops. So that's one of the variables that we take out of the equation when you operate with us. We also oversee the partnerships. They have a very strict set of metrics they have to abide by. We're talking 24 hours of teardown for the vehicle received, less than 24 hours response on any supplements or questions. It's direct sourced. So there's a lot of benefit, again, for somebody else maintaining that network of shops for you, as opposed to just saying, oh, they've written for us before and they do good work, etc. We also guarantee the lifetime and warranty those repairs. If your customer is unsatisfied with how that's been resolved, we're going to bring the vehicle back. We're going to take care of it, and we're going to make it right with them. We always go above and beyond for anybody that has any kind of dispute when it comes to the repairs on their vehicle. We want them to feel like they were made whole. Even though that's not the premise of insurance, right? The whole premise of insurance is indemnity. We go above and beyond that. If it's taken a little bit longer, we're going to take the car and get it detailed. If it's taken a little bit longer, we're going to, give them a gas card to say thank you for your patience. But all the while, again, we're taking off 40 hours of communications from the adjuster set. They're not fielding phone calls. Where's my car at? What's the status? What does the shop say? What am I paying for? X, Y, and Z. Not only that, the additional added benefit on the insurance vertical, we allow the insureds to finance their deductibles if they don't have it. So again, something that not everybody offers. Not everyone has $2,500. Everybody's deductibles are increasing as costs across the world are increasing. So why not offer them that option? You still need your car. Come to ServiceUp, we'll take care of it.
So you're helping them to finance deductibles. Okay. No, later on I need to make an introduction to a few folks that are also in the financing element of this stuff, which is very interesting. You really need, especially when it comes really the law regarding deductibles in different states is a little bit different. So you need to be
Hmm.
very careful and then make sure that if you're using a lawyer, that lawyer actually understands insurance law. And that's the same thing that they usually tell. It's like you need to hire a securities lawyer if you're trying to raise the money and whatever that may be that you need.
Oh yeah. And
And
we got
then
a whole onslaught of attorneys and people that, help us with that litigating piece and any statutes, regulatory law. Steering is a big issue, right, with carriers. And we want to make sure that we're not steering anybody, especially in New York, where they're very restrictive. So we have the comms in place and everything else. For a company that raised a $55 million Series B, we have a very hefty set of legal support.
when was the raise? That was recently, no?
It was recently, so in the last 90 days. So we just
Oh,
announced it.
nice.
We had been raising since last year and just closed out with our key VC partnership, Peakspan, and they have been amazing. They aren't just a VC company, they are a strategic partnership. They have taught us things and really taken us to a whole nother level of our business.
That's important. Okay, let's go back, talk about the product, or maybe, there are superheroes here, so we can talk a little bit more about the origin story. How did the company started? Who are the founders, and how did they come, to recognize, oh, there is a problem. We need to find a solution and we can make money out of it.
What's really kind of uncanny is the fact that you brought up the pandemic earlier. And so the company was birthed out of the pandemic, right? We have two
Best time.
founders, two co-founders. Yep. Best time for ideas and think tanks and all of these different things to come to life. But Brett Dash and Brett Carlson, we call them the Bretts. We
It's
usually
like
use
the
last names.
Davids of a better view.
That's right. That's right. Dash had this idea, he had a damage to a vehicle and how do we move these to shops? And he started driving them on his own, just with these pre-negotiated shops of labor rates for some friends during the pandemic. And he would take the car in, you drop it off, he would let them know what's going on with it, and then he would bring it back. And all of a sudden it was, wow, this should be easy for everybody to do this. And so he linked up with Brett Carlson, who's been in the industry and in sales and all these larger companies for years and years and years, and brings a massive amount of just salesmanship and pizzazz, is what I call it. He's very much the go getter, competitive athlete that we all need to keep the company going. But they combined forces and then they found Javier, who has since moved on to bigger ventures that he wanted to pursue. But the three of them came up with the tech, created the portal, and here we are. Signed a couple of key partnerships early on that helped us pilot, curate it even further, started to build a network of shops. It launched in California, in San Jose, like right outside of San Jose, in a little city called Los Gatos. And they're famous for their quarterback. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him. He used to play for the Patriots, but I guess he's from there originally. I won't mention any names. But that's where the company started, out of a garage during the pandemic. And fast forward 4 years later, Series B funding, 55 million, well over 60 established partnerships running strong, and really looking forward to 2026 and the new products we have coming.
And how did you join the company?
So I was doing some consulting work at the time for a company called Kite that was later acquired by Turo. And some of my friends, I will say, from Kite were moved over to ServiceUp. And they called me in to consult on insurance because they hadn't really ventured into the field yet. They were primarily focused on fleet business, which is how the company got its start in general. And I came in and we did a little bit of a round table and I told them, look, there's a, $40 billion TAM out here for insurance and you guys aren't handling it. So how can we get a piece of that? And 3 weeks later, here's Carlson knocking at my door. We don't have a position, but you need to join us. Like, let's go after this. So took a leap of faith. It's been 3 years and it's been really amazing to watch how much it's grown. We started with 17 employees and now we're over 125
Wow.
plus. We started in 3 markets and like I said, we're upwards of 52, and it's insane. It's been such a fast ride.
I love it. Took a leap of faith and still soaring up the air. It's great. But you have actually a very interesting origin story of yourself. You've done cool stuff in the Bitcoin space, and you work for TPAs and all kinds of other. Please tell the audience a little bit more. And personally, I would love to hear about the Bitcoin stuff, because it's it's a make-believe money. People believe in it, and as a result, they trade it. And it's interesting, not from the Bitcoin, but the concept of the digital and alternative assets that we see there. But yeah.
No, 100%. And it's basically like, if you were to go back hundreds of thousands of years, or however long ago is when money was created, right? The most basic form of bargaining, exchange for exchange. So it kind of
that was
starts
simple.
there, but
you had an emperor or a king, and you saw his face on a silver or gold coin, and
that's right.
Yeah, that's where it started and ended. You have a face on it, and I dare you to say something bad about the king. But sorry,
I know.
I interrupted you.
No, you're totally fine. So I started my career. This is kind of funny, actually. I went to school for theater and acting at ASU, go Sun Devils. Again, Arizona native. And I needed to find a job that would allow me to be done by 2:00 every day so I could go to auditions. And I found this little insurance company called Bristol West that was hiring trainees and providing all of the training. It's a 12 weeks course, and afterwards you'd hopefully get a job. So I did it and I fell in love with it. And from the minute I opened a policy, it just made perfect sense to me. So I started
I'm
off as a
sorry,
claims
I
trainee.
misheard you. You said that you went to study insurance. Well, Bristol West, you opened a policy and fell in love with it. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
I think
I believe you.
everybody's insurance
No,
journey is
I believe
different.
you.
For somebody that wasn't a big academic as a younger individual, because it made so much sense to me, is probably why it has sustained over all the years. It was my form of math that I could never do as a child, right? So I started as a trainee. I moved up pretty quickly. I moved into property casualty. I moved into wrongful death suits, and then had my first break into leadership about 12 years ago for a TPA company that came out to Arizona, owned by Wilson Wheeler, who to this day is still my mentor. We talk every single day. He's amazing. Wow. 45
Impressive.
years in the industry, just a titan, and just a really amazing man in general. So shout out to Prioris and Wilson. He's amazing. So took that job, ran a Western division of a TPA service out of Arizona for about 4 or 5 years. Moved on, took a position at a company called Turo. They're a smaller, peer-to-peer car sharing company here all over the world. Built their claims department. Really enjoyed my time with Andre Haddad. He was just fantastic. And then took a position with Fair Financial under Scott Painter and in that organization, and had a fabulous time. And they were combining everything I loved with policy and leasing. And our biggest client was Uber. So I learned a lot, even more about the car sharing space, right? They got acquired by a company called Shift. So at that point, it was what's next, right? So decided to found a brokerage with a couple of my buddies from Fair, and launched it during the pandemic. Timing, we were too early on to the embedded insurance kind of thing that went down.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very well familiar with that.
We were just kind of ahead of our time. And then I went into consulting, and that's when I met the group at Kite that also has since been acquired by Turo. Had some friends there. They were talking all at, ServiceUp, and had a meeting with them again. Met Carlson, and Brett Carlson came in and joined the company. So it's been about 3 years. That's been my journey thus far. And I left out the Bitcoin one because I know that you want to talk a little bit deeper in that. But during my consulting days, yes, I wrote the policy for Bitcoin with a company out of Japan that had since moved into the States. It was on a blockchain. The idea was to deep deposit within groups and cohorts, and a lot auto repair through that exchange. The conversion was really tough in US dollars, and that was one of probably the biggest challenge. And then also just to gain steam, the idea of how do you, like you were saying, these non-monetary items for monetary items, and how does that play into policy regulation? And so there were a lot of hoops to jump through. We didn't make it all the way through. They have since changed their market value, and they are a great mutuality company now, catering to the masses. And that just basically means all their insureds are pooling money on a monthly basis, and they all make the decision on which vehicles get repaired and which don't. So it is kind of a new wave of handling somewhat self-insured, but also insurance policies.
Okay, let's go back, talk about ServiceUp. We talked about ITC. I've seen one of my buddies, Kyle from Clear Cover. Why am I?
Clear Cover.
Yeah. Why
I've known Kyle for a lot of years.
I started with Clear and then wait, there is Clear Cover. There are so many Clears. And then you mentioned you're dealing with all kinds of fleets. So for example, what is a zip car, which I used to use until recently, that I had like a series of bad experiences when I used them in Boston. It's about the maintenance of the cars that they had.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think that's their challenge. They had a good fleet. They have a good fleet, but with that, you go in and the car were just, reeks from certain odors.
Yeah, dirty. Yeah.
You're like, okay, I need that, and then I just I just went back to use, because I was lucky that in Boston I had a walking distance Avis, and I'm president, whatever. In Mier, it's like, okay, I need for a few hours a car here. And they make it actually, Avis started to kind of compete, and there was hertz to go, but yeah. Okay, but let's go talk about the insurance. So
let's do it.
Clear Cover, Zipcar, fleet, etc. How your platform? So how do you work with all those sides of different type of companies of what they need, right? And then if we are looking at Clear Cover or bigger carriers, how does it work in terms of the scale of the insurance, or the policy holders? I know that you are in 52 markets, but that's kind of like the setup towards that answer.
No, and I love that question. So what's really great is because it's technology, it is very scalable. And at this point, I will share with you that ClearCover is one of our most important partnerships. They actually helped to develop the insurance vertical at ServiceUp. They had a hand in creating some of the technologies, some of the updates that we've gone through, the product ads, what's going to make it easier for their adjusters. So they have had their hands since the beginning of all of this. And Kyle has been a fantastic partnership. Aaron Wheaton, I mean, there's nobody better. And Brandon, who is their senior director of damage, is just, they're the greatest partnership ever. But that being said, everybody on their adjuster team is input into the portal by email. So that's how they're already creating visibility, whether it's 35 of their adjusters or up to 250 of their adjusters or beyond that. There's really no maximum. Each one of them handles their assignments just as they would any of their claims desk, right? So any point in time, an adjuster could have maybe 150 pending files. At any point in time, they could also have 150 repairs that are happening. How we've avoided some of the backlog or the back and forth or the unnecessary comms, we preset thresholds. Anything under X amount, it's an auto approval. Any estimate we're writing is preset with audit rules on our back end with their policy guidelines. So they're not having to do these additional reviews over and over of, did they write this correctly? Did they, give an OEM part instead of an LKQ part? So our estimating system has aligned with what they're looking for the policy provisions. At any point in time, again, we have between 50 to 150 shops in any given market. So when it goes to load balancing, it goes to a ROM or a regional ops manager. They pick the shop that's going to fit the type of repair that's needed, whether it's an EV certified or a class 1 through 3, whatever that may be. They are hand delivering essentially that vehicle to that shop because they know, again, with the metrics in place, 24-hour tear down, 24-hour response time, etc. So it goes in layers. The adjuster gets it, new loss, they submit it to an insured or a claimant. If they opt to repair, great. It comes to ServiceUp. Our service advisors or appraisers in the insurance world write that estimate based on the photos submitted. If it's not drivable, etc., They do all the things, right? If it needs a towing, we're going to send out a tow truck. If it's drivable, we're going to send someone out to pick it up and move it to the shop. Goes to the shop. Now the ROM team has assigned it to the shop. They're overseeing those repairs. They're constantly checking in with the body shop managers, etc., to make sure that we're hitting our deadlines. All the while, this is all updating automatically in the system to the actual insured and then also to the adjuster. So everybody has transparency into the process. Once that vehicle is concluded, we dispatch it back out to the individual to drop off the vehicle. It's invoiced to the carrier. There are no surprises. There are no other charges because throughout the process, again, we're asking them, do you authorize this supplement? Does this look okay to you? X, Y, and Z.
Oh, wow.
And at any point in time also, they can ask questions. Again, Slack-like, text-like experience. Hey, is there a way that we can substitute this part out in order to decrease the cycle time even further? Absolutely. Let us find that part for you. Hey, we're going to suggest X, Y, and Z. The other added benefit that I think I forgot to mention is we're writing UPD estimates as well. So if there's damage that's not related to this accident off of the initial FNOL, we're writing that estimate on behalf of the carrier. So they know they're not double dipping. They know if they're going to file another claim. They have complete transparency because we've done a full review of this car. We're QCing it upon pickup. We're QCing it upon drop off to the shop. We're QCing it again once the repairs are completed, and we're QCing it one last time when we drop it off to the individual. Everybody is protected. It's full transparency. It also puts them in a really great place to be able to go to subrogate if they so choose to, or there's availability. We also offer subrogation.
No
we have
kidding.
TPA partnership. Yep. We have TPA partnerships that allow us to automatically triage out very quickly. And we all know in the subro game, the quicker you get a file, the easier it is to recover the money. So we offer those services. We offer total loss. We're venturing into the sale of salvage. There's so many things that we can do to support the insurance piece of the business. But we also offer that on the fleet side too.
I know that we joked earlier that one of your superpowers is the time to exit. I have a feeling that there will be conversation with the CCC or one of those companies just about that, if you haven't already. And don't tell me. I should not know about that stuff.
And I appreciate that you can see the vision, though. I mean, it really is a niche area within the industry that just really hasn't been tapped into. And
listen,
that's what was so exciting for me.
You're touching a few elements that are critical that I've been preaching about for many, many years. It starts from a claim is your time to retain the good risk. If you ever, want to keeping and retaining a client, a policyholder, is way cheaper and better than acquiring a new client. That's it. It's very straightforward. Now you have the following. It's like, do I want to retain a good risk versus bad risk, etc. That's put aside. To transparency. You hardly see any transparency within the insurance industry. As one of the startups that I'm a big supporter, it's all about transparency of where things at in the repair, in the claims process, and also so they are looking into labor and material. So they are on the property side, right? So they know how to dispatch, how to monitor the allocation also of the claims, where that money goes and how it's being consumed towards, in your case, it's parts, there it's like material, drywall, stuff like that, right? So I love that concept. And then you have, we kind of touch about the small politics, but again, it's a platform. You'll always have all kinds of antagonists, and people go like, "Oh my God, you are how you call it the field, playing the field. You're making it. There is no competition. Everyone will know everything. It's blah blah blah." It's like, okay, first of all,
right.
It will not happen today or tomorrow, but people who are going to be part of it will enjoy. As the sea rises up before you play in the field, and everyone is going to play on the same. And it doesn't work in a capitalistic market because there is always a competition, and someone will find something else and a different angle, right? So,
100%. And I think that it's flattering if somebody goes and tries to create the same type of scenario or the type of processes that we're curating. It's very flattering. I mean, it's imitation, right? There's only one other company that I've ever seen that really exists, and they're in the UK currently, and they know who they are. that at some point they may make their way into the States, at which point maybe we join forces, maybe we become this greater thing. But, to piggyback off of some of the items that you just touched on, there is a lack of transparency. There's a lack of communication. That's where frustration starts. And it's pennies on the dollar to retain a customer as opposed to acquire them through marketing efforts, having to spend money in those dollars and the clicks and the searches and everything else. So why not have this mechanism that they're getting treated like they are an A grade insured, and they're going to tell their friends about it, and they're going to tell their friends about it, and it's word of mouth, and it goes so much further than anything else.
And then of course there is, what is it? I'm on item 3 maybe. When it comes to fleets, for them, and you already mentioned that, it's business interruption. If they don't, it's not just about, I have 15 kids that I need to pick up, I don't know, to softball, but I need to deliver. If it's a DoorDasher that, when you, at the beginning, when you talked about, we are like the DoorDash, it's like, I was like, what's the association keyword that we are looking for? Is it the on-demand? Is it the gig economy? Is it the dispatching system that knows how to work with all the small businesses and then bring a pool of that knows how to connect all the menus with the small businesses? You have all the delivery people, and then making sure that it's a smart dispatching system. A lot of people can take it into different directions, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then, of course, they all need insurance while they are riding their on the job or private, and when they are looking for the ride.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. But going back to the fleet, for them, it's business interruption. And how do you provide them so they can take their own smart calculation? I know that I have only 3 tires on the van now, but I still need to make the delivery. Can I get it back, please? And I'll give it back later. It's like,
no, 100%. Listen, and I will say, I'm so glad you brought this up, because we have 2 versions. We have one portal, right? But there's 2 areas that are specific. There's the insurance side, right? That caters to, again, the comms between the consumer and then also the adjuster and then the shops in general. So that's the whole other side to it. On the fleet side, we are operating directly with the fleets within our portal to us as a staff. So we also bifurcate out shops that way within our marketplace. So we have particular shops for repairs for insurance specific, and then particular shops for that, quick turnaround fleet business. We're sending you 5 vehicles. They've got deliveries X, Y, and Z. So they have their own set of metrics as well. And we understand that from a consumer standpoint on the insurance piece, these are people's vehicles they personally own. They're going to go over them with a fine-tooth comb. They want it, a different level of repair. On the fleet side, it's still that high quality of repair, but it's expedited. It's what can we do to mitigate so that I, like you were saying, can get back out to business? Is it a matter of, exchanging out this one part for another? Or can I get away with only repairing X, Y, and Z in order for it to continue to run for the next 3 months while we're in peak season? Like, these are the types of audible decisions that our service advisors are providing to these fleets in order for them to decrease their utilization drive overall. And obviously give them transparency. For a rental car company, for example, if your vehicle is going to be back to you on Thursday because of the portal updating you, you can put it back on your site to rent it out. You're not having to wait until it's received on the lot. You can depend on us that it's going to be delivered so that that renter can pick it up that day. On top of the point, which if it's an EV, we're going to charge it for you before we bring it back. If it needs gas, we're going to fill up the tank so that it's ready to go. It's rent ready. And, it makes me sad to hear that you've ever had a dirty vehicle with Zipcar or any other experience for that matter, because from ServiceUp standpoint, it needs to be rent ready. And so that's, vacuuming if need be. If they want a car wash, we'll handle it for them. We want to drop it to a lot manager that if we gave them the keys, they could turn around and give the keys to the individual picking it up. And so that's kind of the whole premise. But to your point earlier in the conversation, preventative maintenance is everything. That's how you avoid having the vehicle down for 2 months because you didn't get an oil change.
Perfect.
We're here to do that.
Okay, Sammy, we're reaching the end. We've been chatting for 45 minutes. So let me ask you the last question. What is one thing that people should talk about more, or something that you kind of picked up during the ITC with all the serendipity and random conversation beside AI? Okay, with AI.
Beside AI.
Oh,
No, I'm with you on the AI thing. I don't like the whole fact of like change just for the sake of change, or like the whole idea of a bandwagon, like, well, they have AI, so we need AI. If it is going to directly come in and impact your company in a way that is going to expedite a process, or, streamline a process that makes it easier for you and your customer base, and that's intelligence that we can get on board with. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier. Like the biggest idea in general that I want to leave people with in regards to ServiceUp and what we're trying to accomplish is that transparency piece. It used to be a time, and I know this is going to age me a bit, where you could shake somebody's hand and you could trust them that they're going to do what they're promising to do. I think that there's a lot of narrative around that with what our company is doing. It's this honest, transparent, these are the upfront prices. We're not hiding anything, combined with this really incredible tech piece that is missing, combined together to provide this type of service that nobody else is doing. Because while we are going to be the people that call you if you want a phone call, we are going to be the ones to pick it up, after hours if need be, and walk you through this and tell you, hey, it was a bad accident. We're sorry. We're glad you're okay. We're going to take care of your car, just like an adjuster would, right? We are also going to be the ones that streamline it in a way, tech-wise, that you don't have to think about it. It's like ordering off of DoorDash. It's ordering a movie off of Prime Video. You can order your car repair. I need to have, this dent done. I need to take it in for collision. We don't want you to have to think about it or worry about it for the consumer piece, and then also for the adjuster. You shouldn't have to be having these conversations with body shops day in and day out. And then for fleet businesses across, the US, again, you shouldn't have to worry about, you're not going to be able to deliver those packages at the end of the month during peak season, because I'm going to have to wait for a body shop to get back to me. I'm going to have to wait to get in for an appointment. And one thing I did miss that you said in your last question as well is like, it's not just about getting it into a shop. You have to get it to the right repair shop. It has to be the shop that can repair it. When you have to sublet, or you have to do a secondary tow somewhere else because the shop you pick can't do a pull on a frame, or doesn't have that extra bay they need to leave it sitting for 2 days after a paint job, you've now, again, added unnecessary days to the repair. So the shops that we're curating are for the right type of repair for that specific vehicle. And I think that stuff's important.
Perfect. Love it. Stephanie, thank you very, very much for joining me to this lovely conversation about ServiceUp, not ServiceNow. I said ServiceUp.
I love you got it. Yeah. Spot on.
Yeah. Up. Yeah. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure was mine. This was super fun. I really appreciate your time.